So people have been wondering where I've been. I've been regenerating. If you don't understand what that means, then just listen to this. My wordplay will snatch the average man's vertebrae. Shout out to my 10 tribe partners, baby orderly. When we combine, they considering us a mass threat. Blacks, natives, Mayas, Incas, and the Aztecs. You think it's far-fetched? You got to be kidding me. These same niggas saying Santa's sliding down their chin. Look, when it comes to justice, they just ignore us. But watch everything we do through the eye of horror. It's piss poor, it's where we at, but where they at is gorgeous. I'm setting flames to these churches with Caesar Borgia. Got the duty of man, camp down in Georgia. Hold it down, keep the faith, the Most High is gonna reward you. I don't beef with my Hebrew peeps. I keep a cordial from a chosen stock, and you not, sucks to be you. Yeah, the number is significant. While Satan's running wild, I'm trying to focus on my discipline. Moving like a whirlwind, I'm fighting till the world wins. To understand what that means, it's Isaiah 45:17. Aristocrat genes, kings and queens, but these Edomites be pulling our strings. I cut the cords in 94, avoid the bull like a matador. But if it's beef, I got an army of carnivores. Ric Flair, figure four, doors up the hinge. I got the gird with the drip, and it's matching my friends. I'm not friendly. I was taught to prove a friend. I'm set apart and don't give a damn about trends or your timelines, your Bentley or your high rise. Detonate your enterprises full of lies. Pull up and stop and bust most shots. And when I do, it be a genocide like Pol Pot. And that's real history. Show me a white Jew, I'll solve the Bigfoot mystery. It's not happening. You stuck in the case of fatal attraction. Both action with the words of the Lord when I be rapping. Catch your breath. Line your target up. People need you. Let's go. Cry loud. I cry loud. Yeah, direct like the TV. Heathens can't see me. Your rhymes just like feces. Favorite candy Reese's. Read the KJV. Stocking up on ammo. I've been paranoid lately. SPLC got them hating on me with verbal energy of our captors draining our energy. Yeah, that's why I got this Hennessy. 2 to 2/3, we gon' toast to your memory. Most definitely got the recipe. Expertly snatch the souls of my enemies. The rest be running like they centipedes. I keep the law, fear the Lord, solidify my legacy. Tranquilo, just let it be. You lost, trapped in a maze like Frank Beverly. Change the time like Pope Gregory. You want the truth? Say the word, we'll pull up at your residency. Valhalla, but more heavenly. End of the road, truth be told, we inherently are the chosen, north and south interwoven. Hit you with 10 like DeRozan. You know a moth got your ears smoking. Kwame Yasha Island, we live and die by the slope.
Matthew 19, verse 28. And Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
All right, here we go. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. Why Yahweh Shah. It's your brother Amath. I acquire first name. IQ is all the same. Shout out to my people that's in the house. Shalom, Biyah, Shabbat Shalom to being more precise. Right, happy Sabbath and 7th day of dedication. We still going. One more day to go. This evening will be the closeout, day 8. Closing out day 7. All praises. Prayerfully, everybody that's been observing this week has had a blessed, feast of dedication. For those who are wondering, if you've been around, you've been picking up what I've been putting down, but if not, don't get too close because you might get shot. DSTM, don't shoot the messenger. It's another time. It's another episode. We're going to do this for the closing Shabbat before we get into our closing of the Feast of Dedication. Shout out to those in the chat and those who haven't commented yet but are in the house. Hashemai in the house, shalom to you. Naquab in the house, shalom to you. Kohath in the house, shalom. Brother Ron in the house, shalom. Randy Yah in the house, shalom. Anybody else that I may have missed, or if you haven't said anything, it is what it is. But shalom to you as well. All right, you can already see what time it is, man. Trump's got a domestic terrorist list. Domestic, that means here in the States. Are you on it? Am I on it? Who qualifies to be on this particular list? The military has already acquiesced and said, hey, as long as it's lawful, we're with it. They're trying to get his back on every front that they can. The danger meter for, those of us in this faith should be raised up just a little bit, not in a fearful manner. I didn't say the fear meter, I said the danger meter. That just lets us know that the times we're living in. If the scriptures say that in the last days, perilous times is going to happen, right? So this is what we got to acknowledge. That's in 2 Timothy 3. This is what we got to, take note of. We got some World War III updates. Did y'all see the Statue of Liberty, a replica that they got down there in Brazil, collapse? Oh, yeah. A forewarning sign of the incoming and impending doom for America. We're going to get into that as well. And some more stuff. Got some more stuff to discuss, man. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and share this video, like it, do all that stuff that lets the algorithm know, man, that you are fighting this beast system. You want attention to be shown to the content that you enjoy, to the content that you find enlightening, the content that gives you some wisdom and some knowledge and some motivation, some understanding that helps increase your faith. Right here, Messengers of the Covenant, Reloaded. All right. Do your brother solid and do that if you haven't already, right? For those that are straggling in late, shalom to y'all, man, and follow suit. All right. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen one more time. And let's see here. Let's do it that way. All right. We're going to start off in Sirach. Let's read Sirach 39. Now, Sirach 39:1 says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecy. So these are the things that we have to acknowledge, especially in the days and times that we're living in right now. It said that he that gives his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof. So our minds should be occupied. I know there's a lot of distractions. I know there's a lot of fleshly and carnal things that's constantly tugging at this frame that we're living in that houses our spirit, from fatigue to slothfulness to lust to whatever the case may be. There's all kind of manners of distractions that try to keep us away from the meditation thereof of the law. Joshua 1:8 tells us that. Let's get that as well, but that's another precept for this. We're gonna come back to Sirach, but Joshua 1, right? 1:8, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. So our meditation, our thought pattern should be always trying to key in and lock in on the moral standards that we need to be held accountable for, the dietary standards we're supposed to be held accountable for, the civil, right? All of the particular laws, the ceremonial laws. That's why when it said also back in Sirach, it said that we should be thinking upon the ancient. This is why we're observing, a feast of dedication. Now, maybe some camps may not acknowledge it. They may say, "Oh, that's not in the Torah," or, is that part of the law? It doesn't say. We're not going to get into that particular discussion / debate or whatever. Most camps, everybody acknowledges it, right? But nonetheless, the meditation is supposed to be therein about these laws, right? That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein, for then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So only in those particular times are we going to have success and prosperity is when we're meditating and we're occupying ourselves in the laws of the Most High. Now, getting back to Sirach, now this is why you see the churches in disarray, brother. I still don't know the context of the song, but it didn't sound good at all. Shalak had sent, he showed me a video last night of Kirk Franklin got a song saying that the lion and the lamb are going to bow down to the goat. Now, I don't know what, and Kirk Franklin is rapping, he's mostly known for twerking and all that, and his stomping and all that other foolishness, and among his other follies and mishaps that's happened during his tenure in the church. But the lamb, the lion are going to bow down to the goat. Now, if the book of John, chapter 1, and what verse is that? I think it's 1 and I want to say 39. I might be wrong. Don't get me wrong. In both contexts, John 1, let me see, is it 30? 36. And it says, and look upon Yahushua as he walked. He saith, behold, the Lamb of the Most High, right? So, number one, the Lamb is being acknowledged as Christ. Revelation 5. And verse 5. And one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Nobody would deny that the tribe of Judah and this root of David, this lion of the tribe of Judah, is Yahushua. Now, who the hell is the goat outside of, Shalak and I was both kind of talking about like, who's the goat? Is it Baphomet? Satan? Right? What is, I don't know the context of this particular song. I couldn't hear, we was in the midst of the feast, there was music playing, all kind of stuff. But in all actuality, there is no excusing whatever he was trying to, relay in this particular song. If you heard or know what I'm talking about, throw a 7 in the chat to bring some light to what's being said. I'm gonna have to look it up, but the title alone was off as hell. And knowing that it's coming from Kirk Franklin, it's probably definitely off. But it sounds like he was openly admitting that Christ, and whether you acknowledge him as a lamb or as a lion, he's gonna bow down to the goat. I mean, even in judgment, the Most High said that the lamb, the sheep is gonna be separated from the goats. The goats always represented the left-hand side, the wicked, the unrighteous, the unruly, the forward-thinking, the ones who's going to be destroyed. What I don't understand what Kirk Franklin said. I don't know why I even went off on a tangent about Kirk Franklin. But nonetheless, I mean, this is just the type of evil that's going on and influencing that happens within our community. And the people that are being propped up as leaders for our nation, and the type of subliminal things that they're doing through music and their sorceries and witchcraft, right? Now let's double back over here. Sirach 39 and 1. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients. So we have to go and inquire about the things of the past. We got to look into seeing what the ancient men and the ancient women, how they carried themselves in righteousness for the Most High. Those are our examples. If we're trying to figure out how we need to walk, we need to go back and research and see, well, how did they move with the wisdom of the ancients, right? So when we're going back and we're acknowledging and we're even going through this 8 days of the Feast of Dedication, that's part of the ancient histories that our people have to acknowledge. You're talking about men, women, children who gave their life, blood, sweat, tears, torture, and the whole nine for us to be able to have this book right now, for us to be able to even research and understand who we are. The histories that we align ourselves with definitely plays a role with our future. So we have to seek out the wisdom of the ancient. And if the wisdom of all the ancient was saying, hey, we're keeping this Feast of Dedication annually as a memorial, we definitely going to continue doing that. But it also says, and be occupied in prophecy. So if individuals, in the truth or not, aren't elaborating and being occupied in things of prophecy, because it's all around us now. You cannot look at the things that's going on in the earth and not related to something being prophetic or biblical related. When that's being understood and that's being relayed, then maybe that's somebody you should continue listening to, as long as it makes sense and it's sound, you know. But if all they want to talk about is somebody else, all they want to talk about is debate, all they want to talk about is folly and foolishness, all they want to talk about is money, and then hey, look, this ain't somebody who's got their mind on the law of the Most High. They're not occupying and meditating themselves thereof. They damn sure ain't looking out for the wisdom of the ancient. So these are things that we have to incorporate within our studies, within our spirits, and help. Hopefully that it resonates during these times, right? We seeing that we had you know what? Let's just get started. I'm not even gonna belabor the point. We got to get busy. We got to get busy. All right, let me blow this up some. Now, I just gave a whole collection of the recent shootings and things that's happened within the last week, right? Because after DSTM last week, you had the shooting over there in Australia, with 15 AstroTurf small hats got put to death, right, at the hands of two quote unquote Muslims. You had two soldiers in Syria that got shot and put to death in an ambush. Brown University, there's a mass shooting. Two people get smoked there. Then you had an MIT professor get smoked. Now, these are all headlines that's all kicking in, right? And then I'm saying it's just ironic that all these are damn near happening on minus the MIT professor, but all these other particular shootings all happen on the same day. There's definitely some skepticism on what happened with this whole thing down there in Sydney. When you've got Benjamin Netanyahu going public saying, basically, hey, we told you this would happen. That's because Australia has declared that Palestine should be a free sovereign state and they're pro-Palestine and all that. So Netanyahu is riding on anybody who's, how can I say this? Anybody who doesn't go with their particular agenda, programming, and narratives that get set, right? So he's punishing whole countries. And the cold part is Esau is so cold, and in particular Amalek, they will sacrifice their own in order to, quote unquote, produce the greater good. Case in point, the October 7th incident. They said that the police stood down for 5 hours, allowing all this to go down. Now, this same incident down here in, but you notice what the results of that was. Them being able to bomb, destroy, ravage all of Palestine, commit war crimes, the whole nine, bombing encampments, sending the people out on foot to flee up out of Palestine, right? Starving them out, getting unmitigated money from America to constantly fund these wars, getting authority to bomb Iran, bomb in Yemen, everywhere. And all it took was, a little incident on October 7th for them to get the green light to go do all this stuff, right? Same thing down there in Sydney. They said that there is a police station right there in why is it that the name of the beach escaped me? Why is it escaping me? Anyway, y'all know the beach. Now they said that place always has a police presence. There's a police station local to the beach. Bondi Beach, the water. Bondi Beach. Police station local to the beach. They don't respond or get into action for 20 minutes. It takes some old, pot belly cab man to tackle one of the gunmen and take the gun from him. He gets shot up too before anything happens. That's what I'm saying. Before they did anything, I know they're there. There's a police station. They said it's like 10 minutes away, and the response time and for them to do anything lets you know that when they turn a blind eye and they like, is it time yet? Can we act now? Should we act now? No, hold on. Yeah, stand down. Okay. Because ultimately now, immediately, they already got new laws and restrictions for uh, hate speech, firearms. So all this stuff is already prepared and on the table. It's like within 24 hours, within 48 hours, they already got the whole legislation and the laws already been lined up. After you've already been told by Netanyahu, hey, we told you this type of stuff would happen. This is what happens when you take a pro-Palestinian approach. It's like, look, man, are you telling you telling me what was that a forewarning? Are you telling me, see, we told you what was going to happen if you didn't, go along with the program? Very interesting things that we're going through. You're exactly right. It does have the same scent as October 7th, no question. So the greater picture is like when we see these particular things, man, the scriptures tell us that if we need to be come on now. Occupied in prophecy, right? Matthew 24. And let's look at now let's look at 36, 37. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Right? For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. So we see what was going on. A whole lot of haphazard activity going on. People just moving recklessly, partying, drinking, uh, having sex, fornicating, the whole lot. Like they're not even thinking about the world that's going on around them as a whole. There's a vast majority of people who's waking up, who's taking heed, who's moving with a little bit more fear and caution because they're like, man, the world is dangerous. A lot of crazy things are going on. They don't understand. They don't know what's going on. They surely aren't putting two and two together, saying maybe these are the signs that the coming of the Son of Man is going to be happening. But notice it says, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. I mean, look, people are still out. As bad as the economy is, people are still out eating and hitting the restaurants and all kind of other stuff. We just went out to dinner second night of dedication last Sunday night at this one particular restaurant. It was packed. I was like, damn, people are still, and that was the first I ain't been out there eating. I don't know, it's been a long time since I sat in a restaurant. But it was jam packed. I'm like, oh, people are still out eating and drinking and married, the game on, everything, like oblivious to what's going on. But one other thing that we do see, excuse me. One other thing that was going on during the days of Noah, verse 11, the earth also was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. So I think we can all say that we can definitely witness and seeing the earth is being filled with violence. We got wars, rumors of wars. We got random, quote unquote, mass shootings happening all over the place, from schools to beaches to churches to you name it, malls, kids' birthday parties. And I'm talking about within the last 2 weeks. They just had a quote mass shooting up in Stockton at a little kid's birthday party. It was like a 3-year-old birthday. Gang related. Things shot up. Gang of people get shot. People get put to death. I think three people got put to death. Had another shooting at a mall. I mean, this is constantly going on. And you're talking about corruption. I mean, look at the last government corruption that's going on. Look at the corruption that's going on within militaries and governments, and laws that's being proposed. Economic corruption that's going on. I mean, I just got to see in the article they were talking about, some of these Wall Street CEOs, man, are giving themselves bonuses for the year while the rest of the economy is tanking and crashing. inflation is going crazy, and slow Biden, he's damn near like him. Agent Orange is out here talking about how America is the hottest country in the world, and everybody knows it. And inflation has been at a standstill, and we've got an A triple plus rating for the credit. And I mean, just blatantly out here lying. I mean, that's corruption within itself, condemning good. You know, when the men of the Lord is out teaching, and brothers is putting in their work, and sisters is out here being examples to the flock and doing the things that the Lord requires of us, and it's being looked at as, oh, you're in a cult, you're in a hate group, or that's wicked. That's corruption within itself. Lies being told on the truth. Infiltrations going on within the community, and coercion going on. I mean, it's all kind of madness going on, right? It's wild. Yeah, Cole, you ain't alone. A lot of our people's family members, you tell them till you blue in the face, they're gonna be like, yeah, I thought something was good. Yeah, anyway. Merry Christmas. What? Get out. Get out. You understand? I mean, our people is completely oblivious, man. And but when it's time for them to wake up, it's gonna be too late. How do we proceed? Now, also remember, it said during the days of Noah. Hebrews 11:6-7. It says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is. That's a standard. You have to have faith in the Most High. Not only that, but Revelation 14:12 says you got to have the faith in Christ and keep the commandments. But it's impossible to please the Most High and not employ that faith that's been given to each and every one of us. Every one of us is given a measurement of faith. How much you exercise yourself and move within that measurement, you have to determine. But all of us should be pushing it to the max. We must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. You cannot expect rewards from the Most High, help from the Most High, comfort from the Most High, if we don't diligently seek him through the faith. Can't half-ass with him. You can't be lip pleasers. The Most High knows our heart better than we do. It takes a diligent focus that we have to do. Now look at this, verse 7. By faith, Noah being warned of the Most High of the things not seen as yet. So Noah was forewarned. That whole Matthew chapter 24 chapter, we were being forewarned of things that's going to come to pass. Signs, wonders, false Christ arising, famine, pestilence, earthquakes, diverse places, wars, rumors of wars, nation rising against nation. All these things were being told, and everything hadn't been seen as of yet. Which means what? These are all prophetic things that's going to happen. And that's just some of the ones. That's just in one chapter. But there's prophecies all throughout the scriptures that we have to be forewarned of and prepared for. But it says, what did he say? Noah being warned of the Most High things not as seen yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. Now, you see that? Now, I know you got some super brews that, and I ain't mad at them. It is what it is. Everybody's going to move accordingly. And when we talk about preparations and being prepared, we ain't talking about thinking that you're going to be able to prepare yourself for the day of the Lord and the judgments and everything else, and that your stored up canned goods and extra bullets and whatever else and water supplies is going to, get you through World War III. No. I said it till I'm blue in the face. Preparation is part of the scriptures. Preparation is part of the wisdom and the knowledge that keeps us stable in our days and times. Same people telling Moses, you crazy, man. Ain't nothing going on. You tripping. Ain't rain, huh? Flood. Man, get out of here. What? That can good. That ain't gonna do you no good when the shit hit the fan of it. Okay. Guarantee. When I told y'all for years, it ain't just about the incoming doom and Jacob's trouble and everything else. It's about part of the things that Jacob's trouble is the economy failing. People you may get laid off and the whole night. You better have some food on deck. You seen what happened when SNAP benefits got cut and people was out there whining and crying and couldn't. And don't worry, because guess what? They're already talking about being prepared possibly for another shutdown at the end of January. That was just a little band-aid they got put on there. Plus, you already got people, the stipulations regarding people that qualify for SNAP. We already went over that. They got to be either working or training 20 hours a week. If the kids is over the kids get cut off at 18, I believe. I mean, it's all kind of stuff that people still got to be prepared for. You see the incoming crash. We, not to talk any, financial stuff on the Sabbath, but we told people about getting alternative currencies in the event that when they crash the dollar and your inflation goes to the dish in the handbasket, and having some backup plans as far as your finances are concerned. We just said all the stuff. Why? Because the scriptures say, hey, the studying of the ancients, they move with fear and prepared. It's like you can't, Yahweh can, and the Most High can say, hey, man, I told you everything was going to go down. How come you didn't get ready? Oh, I was, it's that old proverb that the Christians say, you stuck on the island. And a boat comes and a helicopter comes and, whatever other thing comes along. They say, oh, no, I'm cool. I'm just going to wait for the Lord. Lord's got me. And then when you die and you're sitting in the seat of judgment and you saying, hey, Lord, what happened? I thought you were going to get me. He's like, damn, I sent you a boat. I told you I was going to get ready. Right. So it's to prepare an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. Right. There you go. Now, yeah, that's you should rhyme. So sick of hearing one. Yeah, that Hashima, that's a vain that's a vain, conversation at this point. Let me give you a scripture for that. I'm gonna read verse 6. And this Yahweh Shai told us, how to deal with vain conversations and matters of judgment, so to speak. And how do we deal with particular conflicts of understandings? Matthew 7:1. Judge not that ye be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. So we always have to be considerate of understanding how the judgment of the Most High works. We can't sit on a high horse and constantly point fingers and condemn and condemn and condemn. As long as it's coming with understanding, right? You can't just cut without bringing healing as well. But also, you got to have righteous judgment as well. So Yahweh Shai is forewarning us that be careful with judgment, make sure that it's righteous, make sure it's scripturally sound, because the same judgments could happen to any one of us. Verse 3, and why beholdest the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thy own eye? Right, so we're talking about taking accountability. We can't sit back and say what everybody else is not doing, and meanwhile you got all kind of crap in your own eye. Some people be doing that, especially within Israel, man. They ain't doing nothing but watching what everybody. You look at them, look at them, look at them, look at them. Trying to deflect any attention coming to their way. That's an old school diversionary tactic. Hey, don't look at me, look over there. The sleight of hand type of thing. No, Yahweh Shai said, hey, you keep talking about the mote that's in your brother's eye. Have you considered what's going on in your own eye yet? Or are you just too busy, not studying to do thine own business and being a busybody and just kind of constantly looking for marks and issues to make yourself look better? That could be a problem. Verse 4. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, the beam is in thy own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thy own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast out the mote of thy brother's eye. So we take accountability. 2 Corinthians 13:5 tells us that we have to examine ourselves whether we be in the faith or not. Right? So it's always a checks and balances within ourselves. Then we can go out and we can correct others. But verse 6 is key. Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. See, Yahweh said, don't cast your pearls before swine. This is an analogy. It's not speaking, literally calling your relatives swine or whatnot, but the analogy is being made that things of value you don't give to those who will not appreciate it, those who won't understand it. You know, uh, that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Like that's how we have to look at sometimes our scenarios when we're dealing with our loved ones, friends, or what have you, right? Um, Once they've acknowledged and they're holding up a stone cold opposition, then at that time, okay, I can't keep wasting my valuables giving them to you, because what you gonna do? Trample on them on their feet? I don't agree with that. That's BS. It's just my way, the highway, the Quran. That they're gonna stump and then turn again to try to cut you some more and try to get at you some more, and it's gonna constantly be a tug of war that, frankly, will be draining on the spirit. So preserve and protect your spirit. Don't even engage if you don't have to. All right. Let's continue on. So we've seen that the earth was filled with violence, and we're understanding and seeing that also Noah, via his faith, moved with fear, prepared for the times, and through that gained righteousness as an heir with the Most High. So these are lessons that we got to take, right? Here's one of my other favorite scriptures, Proverbs 21:12. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but the Most High overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. So we have to wisely consider what's going on in the house of the wicked. We're right here, dead center in the house of Babylon, man, central hub of all manners of evil and wickedness, where Satan has deemed his agents over here to actually move in and, take control of this beast system, man. You see the motivations is all done through wickedness, but the Most High said he's going to overthrow the wicked in their wickedness. However, we still have to consider and wonder what's going on. You can't take the attitude, man, I don't deal with politics. I don't deal with that worldly stuff, man. I ain't got time for it, man. I'm just trying to live. I'm trying to get this money. You can have that attitude, but guess what? You will still be overthrown, because the Most High said, you better inquire and find out what's going on. Job 22, and let's read 15 down to 18. Hast thou marked the old way which wicked men have trodden? Do you see that? The Most High said you have to mark the way. You got to watch what they're doing. The wicked, which way that the wicked men are trodden, which way are they going? Mark them, follow them, see what's up with them. That's why, my spirit's been so intrigued with, current events and prophecies and things of that nature, because, my spirit be drawn to them things, because I'm trying to figure out, like, what's really going on. And once I get some keys and some clues and the spirit of the Lord rests within me, I'm sending it to the rest. But the Lord said you got to not only inquire what's going on in the house of the wicked, but he said you got to mark the old way which the wicked men have tried, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with the flood, which said unto the Most High, depart from us, and what can the Almighty do for them? Yeah, that's the house of the wicked, the so-called white man. He don't want the Most High in his life. He believes he is the Most High. Depart from us. They don't want nothing to do with righteousness. They don't want anything to do with the children of the Lord. They're looking to condemn, destroy, and confuse us, right? So let's get on back over here. So we see that the earth being filled with violence. We're seeing this is just within the last week. I'm sure there's more that I ain't even include or haven't even acknowledged as of yet. But these are things that we got to take notice of. All the violence that's going on in the world that's reminiscent of the time of Noah, before the Most High destroyed the earth. Now, look at the terrorists exposed for handwritten plot to detonate homemade pipe bombs on New Year's Eve so no one can hear over their fireworks. So, just so happens that shortly after that, there's a terror plot that the FBI all of a sudden, got hip to. Just on the heels of them still being pressured over the Epstein files, Kash Patel, head of the FBI, catching heat for booking private planes for his girlfriend and, abusing his power, and, him looking like, a hypocrite and a liar because he didn't go in to his office fulfilling any of the things that he said he was going to do. So all of a sudden now they've found 4 supposed terrorists, man. Just in time for the new year. And they just found a way with a note. It's always a note that's left behind, right? Remember the note that they had with the Tyler, whatever the cat's name is, that just was responsible for apparently unaliving Charlie Kirk. Remember the note that they had, the long little paragraph note that he sent to his transformer secret lover and all that. They and you read the letters like, come on, man. An early 20-year-old ain't talking like that. You don't see it nowadays. It ain't nobody out there that not talking without the digital acronyms, the LOLs, the M whatever the rest of them are, the LAMFO and all the other stuff. You're not definitely. They all talking like that. There's always something, right? So the FBI arrested 4 members of an extremist group. Noticing that now, mind you, now this is why we got to talk about it, because when I titled this video talking about that, Agent Orange has a hit list prior to that NSPM7 that we've been talking about for a while now. He labeled Antifa as a terrorist group. So once he sets the precedence, now Antifa is known to be quote unquote anti-government, liberal, I don't know, whatever other political names you want to attach to them, but nonetheless, once he starts putting things in motion, one group has to be made an advantage. I mean, make an example of, which is Antifa, right? Now you got another one that's risen up. This Turtle Island Liberation Front. Now, notice where it says a handwritten plot to detonate homemade pipe bombs across LA on New Year's Eve so no one can hear it over the fireworks. Audrey Carroll, 30, Zachary Page, 32, Dante Gatfield, 24, and Tina Lai, 21, were arrested on Friday after they were allegedly discovered testing homemade bombs in the Mojave Desert. Isn't that convenient? Now you remember the guy that the guy that killed the 2 National Guardsmen over there in DC. Well, one passed away. The other one, they're saying he's having a miraculous recovery. And his ties with the CIA and a secret hit squad and all kind of stuff, right? Now you got to see what happened with him. You don't hear nothing about him no more. And you ain't gonna hear nothing about them no more. They're gonna disappear, but it leads them to set the precedence of a narrative that they're putting out. Right? Now look at this. Watch how conveniently they find all this stuff in the Mojave Desert. Everything just lined up perfectly, Come on, what's going on? You got the date. Look at everything lined up perfectly. Pipe bombs all across Southern California, man. They're gonna light it up. Now, from my knowledge, I don't remember though if they were, caught in the moment. Like, was there arresting footage of them like at this campsite in Mojave, and all this stuff was already out, or did we hear about? Oh, we arrested these people, and next, now we're getting footage of the actual evidence. You gotta wonder if you don't see all this stuff in the moment, now they can set a little stage. If you ain't seen Wag the Dog, and I talked about that movie years ago. I mean, this type of stuff Esau be doing, man. No, I'm not talking about them having the bombs already. I'm talking about was there footage of them actually on this site getting arrested with the materials. I didn't see that. If you have, send it to me. What I'm saying is that this is a scene that we're seeing this after the fact. They announce this arrest and show us headshots, and then they double back with a production with all this stuff in the midst. Now I can see if it was a raid and they caught people in the midst of, you've seen drug raids happening, uh, human trafficking raids happening. They catching people in the mix. We just hear, oh, we caught 4 people plotting. We got a note and everything else, and now we're going to show you all the evidence that we found. Okay, fair enough. But I like to see it in the mix. You caught them red-handed, as Esau would say. Why is that red-handed also? Red-handed. So let me let this finish playing, and we're going to keep it moving. All the nice notes lined up. I'm sure they may have, found all these notes and then said, hey, let's just organize them and put them on the table so we can show all of the, notes and the protest signs that they've gotten, uh, okay, believe that if you want. Fair enough. Look at this. Destruction, death to America. Oh, look at all that. I've never even heard of this particular organization before, and that's not to say that they ain't active in doing what they're supposed to do. But very interesting enough, the point of the matter is this sets the precedence. Those are little popcorn groups when it's all said and done, right? The ultimate targets are the ones of us who are abiding by the discipline of the scriptures and doing things that's going to be necessary for us to get up out of here, i.e. the Israelites. So look at it. U.S. military is willing to attack, quote, designated terrorist organizations within America, the general says. If I had no concerns and I was confident in a lawful order, I would definitely execute that order. So this goes back to them enforcing the NSPM 7, which we talked about before. And NSPM 7 is regarding, different acts of quote unquote hate speech. If you're anti-American, anti-government, anti-Christian, if you're perceived to have any of these particular ideologies, thoughts, now we're getting into thought crime, Minority Report. We're getting into the Ministry of Truth and things that are declared via 1984. All those things are being set up so that, there can be persecutions against those of us who are standing up for the righteousness of the word of the Lord. So you see, like in Australia, they've already capitalized on using the Bondi Beach shooting to crack down on laws about hate speech and things of that nature, right? It's whatever they classify. You seen last week, Canada already putting into effect banning parts of the Bible that they deem, quote unquote, extreme, or even with the NSPM 7, they said if you got extreme views on race, like you could be prosecuted. So Canada's saying we're going to ban anything that's considered hate in the Bible, the Quran, and other quote unquote spiritual texts. They're banning those things. Once they're banned, it becomes criminalized. So ain't no different than what we're going through. That's in Canada. But how long before it's right here on these particular shores? Not too long. Not too long. Same way that we've seen it during the time of the Maccabees. Since we're in the spirit of Because we're in the spirit of come on now. This thing always trip on. I want to do that. We're in the spirit of Maccabees, and persecution of the Jews was going on, and our people. When you read verse 56, First Maccabees 1 and 56, and when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. So this is all going down through the king's commandment that they were restricting the children of Israel from worshiping in the temple, offering up righteous sacrifices. They wanted us to leave off of our customs and our laws, become as Greeks, become Hellenized. Any evidences of our books, our papyrus, our scrolls that were found, they were to be ripped up in pieces and burnt with fire. So, in similar fashion, there's not going to be a quote unquote book campaign as we can see right now, but they're slowly but surely restricting and putting into effect means in which you can and can't read, changing up the text themselves with different versions. You know, they got all different kind of Bibles now. They got a gay Bible, they got the Trump Bible, they got all these other particular translations. You know, all of these remixes that's going on. NIV's got like hundreds of verses and words that's been removed. I mean, it's all kind of madness going on. So now you're hearing it from the military saying, hey, as long as it's lawful and we don't get no blowback, we're ready to execute the plan, I should say. I'm not going to say killing people, but then you wonder why we're seeing all of these quote these detention centers being built all throughout the country. Yeah, we everybody knows about the FEMA camps and everything else. You know, some years back it was, oh, that's a conspiracy. Oh, they talking about guillotines, they talking about coffins, they talking about, that's all crazy, that's bullshit. Now it's, hey, did you hear about? Hey, I think you guys were right about. You think? Okay. The commander of the arm of the U.S. military responsible for President Trump's illegal military occupations of American cities said he is willing to conduct attacks on so-called designated terrorist organizations within the U.S. So now they've gotten motive. When you got the little Turtle Island group, oh, we caught these people over here. They were getting ready to bomb, plan a terrorist attack. Well, maybe we should start investigating many of these other groups that we've got on our extreme list. Hey, SPLC, who's on your list over there? You still got them Black Hebrew Israelites? Oh, they're still there? Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to, infiltrate and check them out too. And be it far be it from our enemies, man, to come out here and make up some stuff. They've been trying to frame Israelites for a long time, in particular matters of crime. To no avail outside of what's the cat's name, man? Yahweh Ben Yahweh down there in Florida back in the early 90s, late 80s, they caught him up. But other than that, I mean, they've tried to attach all kind of madness to us, but can't do it. Let's look at this. Now this is cold right here. Now I'm gonna finish reading some of this article and I'm gonna double back on the scripture, right? Now it says that's why I said they hit Antifa first, then they hit the Turtle Island. That opens up the floodgates for them to investigate any and all quote unquote perceived threats. You can be minding your own business, reading your Bible, watching your favorite, teachers and content on YouTube and Instagram, scrolling through your X account. They can make up some stuff. Say we've got probable cause. We've got probable cause because there's been domestic terror plots going on against the country. Agent Orange says there's an enemy within. So that's all they need is an excuse. So it says they're willing to conduct attacks on so-called designated terrorist organizations within the U.S. This startling admission comes months after comes after months of extrajudicial killings of alleged members of or affiliates of DTOs in the waters near Venezuela, which experts and lawmakers say are outright murders. Yeah, so we know what's been going on with them bombing the boats. They just seized another oil tanker, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. But Agent Orange is on the rampage, man. And now that's why Pete Hegseth and they had that whole little meeting with all the generals talking about we don't want no more fat bodies, and we're done with the guys in the hills, and if you ain't with it, you can retire now. Because all they want is a yes man. Now, continuing on, it says General Gregory Gillett of the U.S. Northern Command, a 4-star general who takes his order, excuse me, who takes his order from War Secretary Pete Hegseth, made clear his position in testimony before the Senate Armed Services Committee last week. When asked about his willingness to attack DTOs or domestic terrorist organizations within the U.S. borders by Senator Jack Reed, DRI, he replied, quote, "If I had questions, I would elevate that to the chairman and the secretary, and if I had no concerns and I was confident in the lawful order, I would definitely execute that order," right? So look at this. What And yeah, The Siege is good. I just watched that again about 3-4 months ago. If y'all ain't seen that one, that's a good one too. Denzel, The Siege, very good movie. It's on. I watched it on Amazon Prime. What is this? Yeah, I watched it on Amazon Prime. If you're looking for it, if you got Prime, it's on there. But continuing on, now look at this. That is one of the concerns with the administration asserting that the president essentially has a license to unalive outside the law based on his own say-so. So the question now is there any lawful restraint that can be put into place that can stop this? The precedent that's being set right now, the answer is no. He's already bombing away and killing civilians over there in Venezuela, and a couple that he chipped off from Trinidad and Tobago with no repercussions. You see the small hat GMO Amalekites over there bombing innocents and killing them. Like, this is the precedent that's being set right now, and ain't nobody doing nothing about it. There ain't a high court that's going to hold anybody accountable at this point right now. So they're saying this is the problem. That is one of the concerns with the administration, asserting that the president essentially has a license to smite outside the law besides on his own say-so, said Brian Funicane, a former State Department lawyer who is a specialist in counterterrorism issues and the laws of war. That prerogative might be wielded elsewhere, including inside the United States. After the military has conducted 95 summary executions of civilians in the Caribbean at the direction of Trump and Hegseth, it is not sufficient anymore for commanders to say to lawmakers that they will run any illegal concerns up the chain, at the top of which are those who would be given the order, said Sarah Harrison, who previously served as Associate General Counsel at the Pentagon's Office of General Counsel, International Affairs. Rather than make clear they will uphold the rule of law, they should be definitive in saying that they will disobey patently unlawful orders, which include the scenario Senator Reid laid out for General Gillett. Now, why do I say this? Because let's see here. Well, yeah, exactly. That's all they have to do. They just have to deem it. If they throw the label on it, just like with Southern Poverty Law Center, the ADL, and all them, they just say, hey, you know what? The Hebrew Israelites are a cult. They're a hate group. Why? Because we say so. They can attach false crimes to us. They can say that there's been a conspiracy popped up. All of a sudden now the label says, yeah, they're deemed a terrorist organization. That's why the NSPM-7 is so key, because all they have to do is now they've broadened the horizons on what and how they can consider a domestic terrorist or a domestic threat. If you got extreme views on race, you've got extreme views about of your anti-American government, anything of the above. Now we know the scriptures speak about the condemnation of this nation. The scriptures say in Jeremiah 28:9 that the prophets before us and the prophets of old have spoke against many countries and kingdoms. So just the fact that if we hold true to the legacy of the prophets, that new law now would put us in the category where they can say, yep, you're one too. But watch this. Now, Matthew 26, we'll read 56 down. Now it says, but all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. So, Yahweh was letting it be known everything that was going to happen, the betrayal that was going to happen to him being accosted and arrested. This is, right before he's getting ready to be persecuted, right? So look what it said. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. Think about that. And they had laid hold on Yahweh, led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. So remember, Yahweh, Peter was trying to be stomped down and, verbally committing to Yahweh, to the Most High, and said, man, I'll never leave you, Lord, blah, blah, blah. And Yahweh said, Peter, before the cock crows thrice, you're going to deny me. You'll deny me 3 times before the cock crows, right? Peter said, no, Lord, you crazy. I'm in it to win it. Stomp down. Nothing's going to take me and separate me from you. Now, imagine that. Now, notice, after Yahweh said, man, all these prophecies are going to be fulfilled and all that, man, the disciples said, all right, we're out of here. They took off and abandoned it. After he got arrested and all that, they took off and left, right? So when we see things going on in the earth right now, especially within the Israelite community, you say, man, what happened to them, man? Brothers fell off, man. Brother ain't in the truth no more. Brothers ain't teaching no more. Be it no marvel, right? The disciples, after they got the word, Yahweh got arrested, they took off. And then remember, in John 21, I believe, they went back to work, fishing and the whole nine, and Yahweh had to revisit them and said, man, what are y'all doing? If you love me, feed my lambs. They thought the mission was over. It was like, man, we had a good run, man. That was a cold experience, man. We was riding with the Messiah, and now it's over with. So look at this. The high priest, but the scribes and the elders were assembled. Verse 58, Peter followed them afar off into the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. So Peter said, man, I ain't leaving. I got to see this all the way through. So he's sitting back with the servants. He's watching, he's observing from afar. Now the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahweh to put him to death. So it don't even matter. They will raise up false witnesses against us when it's all said and done. They did it to Yahweh. They're going to do it to us. Yahweh told us, if the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. So these particular tactics is going to come up. That's why here at MOTC, we prefer a small circle. We prefer having a more intimate circle. We've been there, done that with the the larger camps and the people all over the world and the country. And all praise to the Most High for the brothers and sisters, man, that's blessed with a flock that's doing their work like that, man. But for us, at this stage in the game and our tenure in the truth, the Most High's lot that he's afforded to us and what he said, hey, this is what I want you to regulate and keep it that way, I can see why. And I got no problem with it, and I actually prefer less is more. Because, when it's all said and done, these bigger camps, trust me, they got people infiltrated already in a lot of camps already, man, and they ready to be the false witness. They ready to be the ones that's going to say, yeah, you know what, we need to do this. They're going to be the ones spearheading some folly that draws in everybody, because you know what? It doesn't matter. Camp, no camp. You're all Israelites in the eyes of the public. We're all the same. Peter's going to find that out too. Look at this. They look for false witnesses. That's the first thing. It ain't got to be true. Oh, matter of fact, Luke 21. It ain't even got to be true, man. That's the cold part. Now look at this. Luke 21. We're gonna go back to Matthew. Luke 21:12. But before all these, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up into the synagogues and to prisons, and being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Matter of fact, hold on. I want to go up. And these are all part of the end time prophecies and the destruction. What is this? And the end time prophecies and the destruction of 70 AD. Yeah, let me continue on right here. Verse 12, we'll read down. Now, these are things we got to be keen to. It says, but before all these, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and to prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And they shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. So, back then, during the destruction of 70 AD or whatnot, that's why I said you're going to, in certain instances, people are going to be delivered to the synagogues when the synagogues were still in effect and the priesthood was still in effect. There was still persecution that was going on back then. Modern day times, you fast forward now, there's going to be what they call the clergy response teams. You got the FEMA preachers and all that. You've got plenty of our people out there who are aligning themselves with and faith-based organizations, aligning themselves with the governments. The Sadducees had a strong relationship with the government. These particular type of organizations, that they're going to deliver brothers and sisters up to prisons, right? And it says, settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. He said, just move in the spirit. Don't sit back and try to elaborate and have some big old plot, some old lie you're going to try to get how to squeeze and wiggle out of it, and who you going to snitch on, and it ain't going to work. Verse 15, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. Now, verse 16 is key. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinsfolk and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. So even when we see the persecution of Yahweh, and you see where they said they sought false witnesses, best believe, man, parents, friends, kinfolk, all them, if Judas will sell out Yahweh for 30 pieces of silver, in the state of a bad economy and everything that's going on, man, people will do something strange for some change. Your own people, especially. A lot of people that's willing to sell their soul for a little bit of money if it means them surviving and you not. Unfortunately, that's the spirit that a lot of people are going to have. And will they even lie to do it? Absolutely. This is where you have paid informants. You can watch these old Donnie Brasco movies and all this other stuff, and it goes on in the gang communities, it goes on in organized crime, it goes on in all over the place where you got paid informants, you got paid snitches, you got, rats and everything already infiltrating all kind of organizations, man, stirring up the pot, and then they rise up to be a false witness and they take the check and run and go to take down the next organization. There's a video of a brother, man, I forgot his name. Very similar to the cat that took out Fred Hampton in that Fear of a Black Messiah movie. That was a true story. Remember, he was getting paid on the low, and there's a testimony on YouTube, man. I can't remember the name of the brother. A lot of y'all may have seen it. But he was an FBI informant, man, and they used him to infiltrate Black Panther groups all across the country. He said, man, he was involved in all kinds of dirt. Let me see if I can find it, because this is really a good one. William O'Neill. There you go. No, now William O'Neill, he was the one from Fred Hampton and Black Panthers, right? Now check that one out. But this guy right here, this is another one. Ex-FBI informant talks infiltration of Black culture. Y'all can check this one out too. Dr. Perry. I'm gonna give y'all a second to write it down if you need to. Yeah, there you go, Shari. You got his name in there. All praises. This is a really good interview. You'll be amazed, man, how far these damn dudes are willing to go to take out their own. Where was we at? Salaki. Back to Luke. Excuse me, back to Matthew. All right. So they looked for false witnesses against Yahweh to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came 2 false witnesses. So they had some people that came up, they wasn't credible, and they was like, nah, you ain't you don't pass. You ain't gonna work. Then you had 2 false witnesses came across to the high priest and the elders and the council to persecute Yahweh, right? And said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of the Most High and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witnesses against thee? But Yahweh held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living power, that thou tell us whether thou be the anointed, the Son of the Most High. So just like we seen in Luke, Yahweh said, don't think about nothing to say. Let the wisdom of the Most High go forth. But Yahweh held his peace because as a lamb prepared for the slaughter, man, he held his peace. He knew that this had to go down prophetically. Now, drop down. And now look at this verse 69. It says, now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came up to him, saying, thou also wast with Yahweh of Galilee. So Peter sitting back, thinking he's minding his business, even, standing outside of the palace, watching everything go down. And the sister come up and she's like, hey, I've seen you before. You be hanging with Yahweh. You was with them. What did he say in verse 7? But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest. He said, I don't know what you're talking about, girl. Get up out of here. Hey, shh. I don't know what you're talking about. No, yeah, I know you. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, take this for the same reason as that you have those who sit back and say, we're not affiliated with any other, Israelite group, or I'm a, what do they call them? Individualite. I don't do the camp thing. I don't do other. It does not matter when it's all said and done. We're all going to be grouped into one lump, right? Doesn't matter. So don't think that that's a safe haven. Don't think that you saying I'm not affiliated. I'm not part of that. I don't believe it. Peter tried that, and ultimately, what happened to Peter? Got persecuted, and he ended up getting put to death as well. Verse 71. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him and said unto them that were there, this fellow was also with Yahweh of Nazareth. So you can imagine, you see this is how Israel is, man. These are Jakes. What's the name? For those of y'all that remember in Living Color, and the sister that was out there, I forgot what her character name was, but she was always looking out the window and gossiping, and she was like, you ain't heard it from me. I heard this was going on, but you ain't heard it from me. That was her punchline all the time. Now here you go. You got another sister. She out there watching. Yeah, hey, yeah, up here. Yeah, he was with Yahweh of Nazareth too. Now Peter's already ducking one. Here's another one looking out the window. Yeah, him. Now verse 72, it says that again, he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. Now, here you see. Oh, Oscar, Benita Betrayal. There you go. Yeah. I ain't want to gossip, but you ain't heard it from me. Now, that's Benita Betrayal hanging out the window. Now, 71, this also how you know that this is a Jake. Because who else denies with an oath? It's in black folks' vocabulary. On my mama, on the dead homies, on my kids. We're willing to always put everything on the line. I swear to God, on God, I didn't. So Peter is carrying on in that fashion right now. Again, he denied with the oath, I do not know the man. Now, mind you, Peter was the rock. He was the essential leader of the church, the head of the church when Yahweh died. He got put in this particular position, man, and denied Christ 3 times. That's so cold. That's cold right there. because the amount of faith and trust that Yahweh had to have on him to hand him the baton and knew that he was still going to falter after he was gone shows you the faith that he had in him, that Peter was going to overcome in the end. But he still told him, hey, I don't know that, man. I'm not with them. I'm not in no camp. I don't do that. I used to be Israel, but I still don't. Thinking you're using wisdom, and it don't work that way. Because you're going to have plenty of people saying, no, I've been to his house. We had classes there. I've been to their school. Yeah, he was there definitely teaching. Here, I'm going to share you the video. All that, it does not work. That's why we just got to read earlier. Said that, without faith, it's impossible to please the Most High, and he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Like, that's important. Now, verse 73, and after a while came unto him they that stood by and said to Peter, surely thou art also one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and swear, saying, I know not the man, and immediately the cock crew. So 3 times Peter definitely denied Yahweh Shai. And he got to the point where he was cursing and swearing. I swear, I tell him, hell no, y'all lying on me. Trying to believe his own lie. And y'all, you've seen and probably know people that's done that. You may have done that. I may swearing that, I swear to God, please, y'all, I'm telling you, when you see them first 48 videos and cats in the confession in the interrogation room, lying to themselves, crying and pleading, and knowing they got caught dead to rights, but you can't tell them nothing. I see prank videos on YouTube. Some little young cats, man, they'll walk up to somebody in the store and hand them they'll have a envelope of money, and they'll walk up to somebody and say, hey, excuse me, did you drop this envelope? We just seen you walking, and we seen it on the ground. We thought maybe it's yours. And the person will take it, they'll see the money, and then, oh yeah, thanks for looking out. Oh yeah, I couldn't believe I dropped that. Thank y'all. Knowing it ain't theirs. Meanwhile, it's fake prop money. And they get to walking around and harassing them. Well, can you at least give me $50 for finding the money for you and all that? And most of the time, once they realize it's fake, the people end up getting embarrassed and they get up out of there. I seen one where this Jake didn't believe that it was fake money. He gave them both $50 or $20 a piece or something like that, and then he got up out of there, and they walked him all the way out to his car. He got in the car, rolled off, and they was like, man, give us the money fake. We're just doing pranks. At least give us the money back so we can keep doing what we're doing. And brother was like, man, y'all better leave me alone. Get up out of here. It ain't fake. Like, he really thought it was real money. He thought it was his. That's how you know this is real. Peter was in that same position. So when we see these type of things come down, and getting back to this article, don't think it won't get to a point to where they framing. I mean, you see the videos now with the video manipulation with the AI voiceovers and everything else. I mean, it's wild out there. They say you can't trust half of what you read and none of what you see now. So, getting back to this article, it says, after the military has conducted 95 summary executions of civilians in the Caribbean, I think we did read this already. Yeah. Now, here we go. Now, let's look at this. Are you on Trump's list of domestic terrorists? There's no way to know. He just determines what's what. Once a label is thrown on you, it is what it is. And then they can double back and create a damn AI video saying this is what it was. So they can have some paid informant, some little snitch lie and say, yeah, we were planning on doing this, that, and the third. And you can be like, what? I don't even know you. You came to class one time. What? Oh, yeah, no, it's true. I was there. I was a witness. The Trump administration is using NSPM-7 to compile the names of alleged domestic terror groups. It won't tell us who's on the list. He's ordered his administration to compile a DTO made up of his political foes, despite the fact that there is no legal mechanism for labeling exclusively domestic organizations as terrorist groups under Trump's NSPM-7, or we already said that. He instructed his administration to target U.S. progressive groups and their donors, as well as political activists who profess undefined anti-American, anti-fascist, or anti-Christian sentiments. Interesting enough, you notice some. I'm gonna leave that alone. But there's some people in the community, man, that's taking a U-turn that now seem more pro-Christian than they are anti. Interesting. But let's continue. It says, unlike with prior lists, such as the State Department's register of FTOs, it's currently impossible to know if you are a member of a domestic terrorist group and what the penalties might include. By claiming this authority and by defining a wide range of political views from anti-Christianity to anti-Americanism as markers of domestic terrorism, the president has essentially created an enemies list and directed federal agencies to go after them. It's a classical authoritarian move designed to sow fear and silence opposition to the administration's policies. Faisal Patel, the senior director of the Brennan Center's Liberty and National Security Program, told The Intercept. So there's a list. We don't know who's on it. However, we see what qualifies one to be on the list. Through deductive reasoning based upon the scriptural understanding regarding Babylon and this place, it's probably safe to say that if we ain't on the list, they're considering it. And they ain't I ain't with them. I don't know them. That didn't work. Peter ultimately got crucified and put to death as well for eventually being steadfast in the word, right? Let's continue. After a generation of peace, Europe tells its people to prepare for war. So, the gauntlet is down, man. This should let you know that deadline of next week's Christmas for a peace deal to be signed. Seriously doubt that's gonna go down. They'll probably kick the can down the road, give an extension, say that, Zelensky and Putin has made a phone call. He's possibly prepared, but we'll see. And we all know this ends one way. That's World War III. Let's continue. Netanyahu plans to brief Trump on possible new Iran strikes. So the madness continues. He's supposedly within a peace deal with Palestine and Gaza. Meanwhile, they did just lay down a few more people, claiming that Palestine violated the peace treaty because they had some little kids gathering some wood in a quote unquote restricted area. Did y'all hear about that? They said some kids. Let me see. I didn't even want to go there. Where is that at? No. I can't find it up top. Yeah, I ain't got time to look for it. But there was a particular article that they showed that the small hats man went and killed a couple people, and they said that it was because the ceasefire agreement got broken, and it was all over. A couple of kids went and got some wood and crossed over a line or something like that. It was some real foul madness, but nonetheless, we see here another bombing is on the table and being proposed. Agent Orange cannot tell Netanyahu no. So the potential for another bombing is on deck. Let's see if Taco holds true to the word, or if he stands up and says, no, we ain't doing that. All right. Here's the real deal. Now, we've been talking about the Ben Gurion project, the new Greater Israel Now it's in effect. Project Sunrise, building a new and unified Gaza. You see the new utopia they want to do? So they finally always just come clean. You know, Psalm 64:8 says their tongue is going to fall upon themselves. They're going to eventually confess and say really what it is. All along, they've been talking about they want to eliminate and get the Palestinians out of there because they want to expand Israel. They want to be able to, and Trump even said it a long time ago. He said, hey, they wanted to go in there and build a whole new little utopia over there. So now they're coming clean. Project Sunrise, their whole objective is they want to get rid of the Palestinians over there. They want to go and reoccupy that land and build a whole new little utopia so they can get some more bread going through over there. And they want access to the ports and everything else. U.S. pitches Project Sunrise plan to turn Gaza into a high-tech metropolis. The blueprint, drafted by Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, could have the U.S. commit to roughly 20% of some reconstruction costs over 10 years. Now, you see who's flipping the bill to? They're going to invest. There's more money going over there. Meanwhile, over here, people are starving, losing their jobs, standing in bread lines and the whole nine, right? But there you go. More proof that this is the ultimate goal. They want to covet fields. They want to take things just like Micah 2 tells us. Always want something that's not theirs. And the evidence is clear. Here you go. Senators brace for another possible shutdown in January. Senators in both parties are bracing for another government shutdown next year after Republicans blocked the proposal to extend expiring health insurance subsidies, the issue that triggered the 43-day closure that consumed most of the fall calendar. So when they ended the shutdown, I said, this is just a stopgap. They got to revisit this again in January. Now, do we think that all of a sudden in January, everything's going to be good and people just going to automatically say, yeah, sign another budget bill, it's all good? With no, restrictions, no questions, no nothing? No. Expect another shutdown, another, however long it goes, who knows? That's why I said 2026 is going to be an even more interesting year than 2025. You think 2025 or something, wait till, a few weeks from now. Now look at this. The Chinese billionaires having dozens of U.S.-born babies via surrogate. Chinese billionaires are over here, man, having breeding farms. They just had a couple out of, and I thought it was interesting. I believe I did cover it on DSM some months back. I forgot what city they were in. The two Moabites, man, living in a big old mansion, and they had like 12 or 13 kids in there. They had an Edomite woman that was pregnant, being a surrogate for them. Because one, China, I believe China still has a limitation on children. They used to have the one-child policy. I think they kind of backtracked on that. I think they max them out to 2 now. But you got these billionaires now who have no lineage to carry on their bloodline because of the restrictions over there in China. So they got one cat here, man, said he done had 100 kids. Look at this. The Chinese billionaires having dozens of U.S.-born babies via surrogate. Video game executive Zhu Bo said to have more than 100 children, and other elites build mega families, testing citizenship laws and drawing on nannies, IVF, and legal firms set up to help them. Where the hell is ICE at for this? They talk about the Dreamer Act and Trump giving rid of the Dreamer Act. Like, basically, I believe that's children of immigrants that were born here, that they get to stay here via the school system and everything else. But he was trying to get rid of that too. Now Moab is over here knocking up through IVF and vitro and all, knocking up all these damn women, producing hordes of damn Moabites, man. And ain't a sniff of ICE in sight. Ain't nobody questioning the legality of what's going on. Why? Because these guys got billions, man. China's buying up American debt, buying up the farmlands. They're in bed with America as much as they, we see that there's oppositional standpoints that they have for sure. The line's really gonna get drawn when it comes down to Taiwan, but the business model and the money, they're gonna figure that out. But look at this. Inside a closed Los Angeles courtroom, something wasn't right. Clerks working for family court judge Amy Pellman were reviewing routine surrogacy petitions when they spotted an unusual pattern, the same name again and again. A Chinese billionaire was seeking parental rights to at least 4 unborn children, and the court's additional research showed that he had already fathered or was in the process of fathering at least 8 more, all through surrogates. When Pellman called Zhu Bo in for a confidential hearing in the summer of 2023, he never entered the courtroom. According to the people who attended the hearing, the maker of fantasy video games lived in China and appeared via video speaking through an interpreter. He said he hoped to have 20 or so U.S.-born children through surrogacy boys because they were superior to girls to one day to take over his business. Now, I guess because they're surrogates, he didn't physically have any relationships with these women. I don't know. But that shows you too many women is out here, man, selling their bodies to have these babies by these heathens for a little change. And this is what's going on. They haven't. If you talking about the Matrix, man, you seen them damn pods with the pod babies being born in the Matrix, man. They damn near doing this stuff. So now they want the designer babies. You want the boys, so you can, have a legacy to build upon, man. This is the type of stuff that's going on behind closed doors. And, I've showed the relationship, Moab, Ammon, and Edom, always clicking up from the book of Judith to Ezekiel, Jeremiah. They're always together. Moab, Ammon, and Edom, man. Your man, Agent Orange, he's going to state the obvious, saying the quiet part out loud. Venezuela's oil is a focus of Trump's campaign against Maduro. Tell us something we don't know. We've been saying this for a long time. They talking about drugs. We all know. But I'm going to let him say it. He can say it better than I can.
All right. Well, that was a beautiful event for 3 great people. And they're now looking down, and their parents and wives and all of the people that were there were, devastated, but great people. Great people. So thank you very much for being there. Yeah, she's doing a great job. Just the blockade. Not going to let anybody go in.
So you couldn't really hear the question, but he asked, America's now setting up blockades, man. They're trying to restrict the oil tankers. They're trying to, shake down everything and anything leaving and going into Venezuela. So he said, there's a blockade. We're trying to regulate who's coming in and out.
That shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it.
Okay, you heard him. He says that Venezuela took their oil and we want it back. Don't nobody take nothing from America. Let's knock it off. They don't want nothing to do with America and the IDF and nobody else. That's got eating my grubby hands on them. Now he said we want it back. So the motive is obvious now. We all know. Now that finally the press is finally not scared to pop out and say it ain't about the damn drugs, it's about the oil. Everybody knows it now. The truth has been said. Okay. So we can move on from that and we can all know what this is all about. And any other country that has valuable resources expect him to be on their head too. Look at the hypocrisy here. Israel congratulates Chile's president-elect Kast, pro-Israel son of a Nazi-era German soldier. Does he look Chilean to you? Does he look native, indigenous to the land? I'm just wondering. Look at Benjamin Netanyahu. Anybody that's pro-small hat, he's going to congratulate him. Even if this guy's got, he's the son of a terrorist German soldier, someone who supposedly persecuted them and threw them in ovens and all that. And he's congratulating their offspring now. Very interesting. Congratulations, President-elect Jose Antonio Kast, on your victory. Israel looks forward to working closely with you in Chile to deepen cooperation in security, innovation, water, agriculture, and economic growth to strengthen the partnership between our 2 democracies. Look at that. Unbelievable. Now, they look like brothers. You really think he's Chilean? You know, it says he's the son of a Nazi-era German soldier. So he's German. And he's now the president-elect over Chile. This is all bad. And he's sitting back getting congratulated by his op, supposedly. Now they're getting ready to work together. But this is the smoke and mirrors, man. This is the lies. This is the politics that goes on. So as long as you're riding with the small hats, man, everything is all good. So we see Chile, made their decision, but is it really their decision, or do they have a Edomite in there running their country as usual? For anybody wondering, anybody interested about them files, the Epstein files, yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing. 500 pages blacked out, redacted. Can't see no names, no nothing. There was some pictures and stuff that was out there, whatever. But this is what everybody's been holed up for. This is what they elected Agent Orange for, because he was going to expose everybody, and they made sure names is blocked out. His name, it was already on there, damn near what they say 1,000 times on the 20,000 of the 20,000 emails. His name was ringing bells on there. Not to say that he was caught or said in any precarious positions. I can't put that on him. I don't know. I ain't read it. But from all intents and purposes, they said he wasn't in no foul play. But he did lie about his relationship with him. He did lie about, their bonds and all that other stuff. So that should be enough. And then you see here, they're blacking out stuff on there. So there ain't nothing to see on there, man. The FBI said, hey, throw them off. We found 4 people, man, that was going to plot a terrorist bombing. Don't worry about them files. We're doing good work. Anyway, so much for that, huh? Check this out. Down in Brazil. Now, this is the second time that I think it was maybe about 2 years ago, they had Statue of Liberty here in America got struck by lightning. Now you see a replica down there in Brazil, and the Most High sends strong winds to knock that thing down. Now that's obviously, you got to look at that in the spirit, and you wonder, is the backbone and the strength of America still what it was? Is it still going to be, the forefront leader of the free world, man? Are they still going to rule with the iron thumb of democracy, or is it on its way down? Isaiah 19:1 says, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud. He shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. See that the idols, the Statue of Liberty, all of these, the Pentagon and the Eiffel, most are going to take care of all them things, man, knock them all down. But that's for us to take into account as a sign, to look at it in the spirit and say, man, this place is on the decline. It's on its way out. It's going down. That's right, Ashar. The kingdom is falling. Remember, that's what it said in Revelation. Babylon is falling. It's falling. Let's look at it in Hebrews 2. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. For if the word spoken by angels was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just recompense of reward, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him? So it's showing you how the teaching goes down, how that the steadfastness of the Most High's judgment goes forward. It said every transgression and disobedience is received with a just recompense and reward, that we're supposed to hold and give heed to the earnest things we've heard. So once we receive the gospel, sound gospel, we hold fast to it. Don't let it slip. Now, verse 4, it says, the Most High also bearing them witness. This is how we bear witness to the power of the Most High, both with signs and wonders. This is how we get our faith strengthened. When you see that chariot in the sky, you like, that gives you confirmation. When the Most High blesses you and answers your prayers, those are things that you see. when you see judgment happen from the Most High and you get relief from your enemy, that's all signs and wonders. You seeing a replica of Statue of Liberty and Lady Liberty, the great whore. She's falling down too, getting struck by lightning. Things can't be good. When you see America struggling and lying to try to preserve its reputation economically, militarily, you know that it's all bad. So the Most High said he's going to give us witness, both with signs and wonders and with diverse miracles and the gifts of the Holy Spirit according to his own will. That's, we waiting on those aspects of the Spirit to enhance us as well. But for now, I'll settle for this. I'll settle for a collapse. That gives more inspiration and hope, right? Revelation 18:1-2. After these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Get out of here, whole food. You know this ain't AI because them cars was getting out the way, and you can see that cat that was walking. He got the running. Look at him down here. He got the skip of the cars, got the moving. That ain't AI. That was real. Another angle. It's already Nina. She already drunk. All right. Take that for what you will. Take that for what you will, right? I'm looking at it as a sign. The Most High said, hey man, this place is gonna fall. 4 ICE detainee deaths in 4 days spark alarm as arrests grow. We ain't forgot about ICE, man. They're still running rampant, man, terrorizing the communities, man. You have 4 people unalived in consecutive days. 4 detainee deaths in 1 week is a red-hot crisis, said Eunice Cho, senior counsel at the American Civil Liberties Union National Prison Project. There is no question in my mind that this represents a clear deterioration of medical care and the worsening conditions in ICE detention. The recent deaths bring total detainee deaths to 30 in 2025, the highest number since 2004, when 32 people died in ICE custody. This year's total includes 2 detainees who were killed after a shooting in the Dallas ICE facility. At least 2 others died this year, according to ICE, but not in immigration detention. Nearly 66,000 people are in detention, according to ICE data, and record a record high. And the Trump administration is seeking to spend $45 billion to expand immigration detention after receiving an infusion of cash from Congress. So he's getting more money, and we see what's going on, right? But our people is dying in these particular facilities. Highest number since Obama was in office, because they were saying, these numbers, the Trump administration ain't doing nothing that Obama didn't do. But they always love to throw dirt at each other. 1 minute he loves to condemn the demo crips, and next thing you know, he's saying, well, I'm doing the same thing they did. Get off my back. Okay. Let's move on. Now look at this. Trump announces Patriot Games for the U.S. 250-year anniversary. 2 high school athletes from each state are set to compete. Now, can you say Hunger Games? Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me turn this light on. Can you say Hunger Games? Anyone? I mean, truth is stranger than fiction, man. He's calling the Patriot Games, right? Now, look at this. President announced the Patriot Games events with the launch of Freedom 250, an organization that will plan and lead efforts to commemorate the nation's 250th anniversary. One of the events that will be featured as part of the festivities will be what Trump called the first ever Patriot Games, an unprecedented 4-day athletic event featuring the greatest high school athletes, 1 young man and 1 young woman from each state and territory, noted The Hill. The Patriot Games will reportedly take place in autumn of 2026. Other events planned for 2026 include a Great American State Fair that will feature exhibits from all 50 states in the National Mall from July 25th to July 10th. I mean, enough of this. But you can see here, man. This is reminiscent of the movie The Long Walk. Has anybody seen that? If you seen The Long Walk, put a 7 in the chat. The Long Walk, more or less, is a movie about it's a dystopian future, man. Everybody's living in poverty. The government offers a cash reward and one wish to be fulfilled for an individual that wins a walking competition, and it's basically one young male from each state. So it's 50 of them, and they go on a walk. I don't want to ruin it if anybody ain't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, they go on. You basically got to stay within. The rules are you can't walk slower than I think 3 miles an hour. You get some warnings. If you ever stop, they put you to death. But there's one representative from each state. Yeah, look at this. Long Walk, a dystopian horror novel film by Stephen King, published in 1979. Set in a dystopian alternative version of the United States ruled by a totalitarian regime, the plot follows the contestants of a grueling annual walking contest. While not the, I don't want to read that. Let's see. Plot. Set in alternative dystopian, we already read that. 100 annual contest with 100 young men walk continuously along. I thought it was one from each state. I thought it was 50. But okay, so the walkers must keep a minimum pace of 4 miles an hour and are issued verbal warnings by soldiers monitoring their progress if they fall below this speed for 30 seconds. So, just think about that. Think about the Hunger Games. If you remember, man, Christy Nome, the little Edomite broad that was the head of ICE, she was trying to institute Hunger Games competitions for citizenship. Now, they ain't dueling to the death and all that, but it's just the fact that they even have the audacity to come up with, gladiatorial Caesar type games, man, bread and circuses, if you will, to have, young athletes competing for the favor of the state in the name of being a patriot. Matter of fact, I think that they meant, let me see, what they call it? I thought they made mention of something about the Patriot in that movie. I wanted to see if they was going to mention it in this. No, maybe not. But anyway, if you ain't seen The Long Walk, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I would suggest y'all check that out too. Now he's saying 2026, man. Now look at this. All 1,600 Kentucky Battery Plant employees are laid off as Ford pivots away from the EV business. Trump says, hey, I thought he was bringing industry back to America. I thought he was going to build, make America affordable again. He's bringing businesses back. He's hitting the tariffs. He's lashing out at all the other foreign companies that's been taxing America and all this other stuff. But yeah, I don't see that. More pain coming. And the automotive industry was like the backbone of America for a while, man. Detroit, Kentucky, all the car plants. Now that's a thing of the past, man. 1,600 people about to hit the bread lines. Thanks to your man Agent Orange. All right, but believe it to him, man. He says everything is great. America is the hottest country in the world. Nothing to see here, man. Nothing to see here, right? Well, Shalak, you could probably try to catch it, man. You're gonna have plenty of time on your hands to watch it. Safe travels, King. Safe travels, man. If you get a chance, man, reach out when you touch down. All right. So with that being said, man, another one in the books, man. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, White Howard Shah, man. Prayerfully, everybody enjoys the closeout of the Feast of Dedication Day 8 will begin this evening, right? I'm looking to have a good time and enjoy myself with my brothers and my sisters, man. And if you're not here physically with us, we're keeping it with you in the spirit. So with that being said, man, y'all be well. Shabbat shalom to everybody. And Lord willing, see y'all in the near future. All right. Shalom.